Hello everyone and welcome to the weird, scary and horrible parts of humanity. I am sorry that it has taken so long for another video to come out. I have had things going on at work and in regular life which have prevented me from doing research. But that is going to end with this video, and we will continue our look into the 9/11 passengers and crew, this time looking at United Airlines Flight 175. United Airlines Flight 175 was a Boeing 767-200 registration number N61TUA. Despite having capacity for a combined 168 passengers, the Boeing 767-200 was well under capacity, with 56 passengers and 5 hijackers and 9 crew members aboard the flight from Boston Logan International Airport in Massachusetts to Los Angeles International Airport in California. This represented a 33% load factor compared to a standard 49% load factor in the 3 months preceding 9/11. The flight departed Terminal C's Gate 19, pushing back at 7:58 a.m., taking off from runway 9 at 8:14 a.m. The aircraft was hijacked at 8:42 a.m. and at 9:03 a.m. at 540 miles per hour, the Boeing 767-200 was crashed into the South Tower of the World Trade Center, with American Airlines Flight 11 having already crashed into the North Tower of the World Trade Center. With the world's media focused on the World Trade Center, the crash of United Airlines Flight 175 became both one of the most famous images in human history and indelibly planted on everybody's brain who was alive at the time. And with that, we start with the cockpit. Captain Victor J. Saracini, who went by Vic, was born on the 29th of August 1950 in Atlantic City, New Jersey. He was the son of Anne and Victor Saracini and had one sister, Joanne. Attending Atlantic City High School, he graduated from the New Mexico School of Mining and Technology, majoring in biology. He then went on to join the United States Navy's Aviation Officer Candidate School, commissioned as an ensign. In 1976, he graduated as a naval fighter officer from Pensacola, Florida. He would go on to attend graduate school at Louisiana Tech University. From 1980 to 1985, he served in the Navy Reserve at Willow Grove in Pennsylvania, during which time he was awarded the National Defense Service Medal, the Navy E-Ribbon, and the Expert Marksmanship Ribbon. While in the Naval Reserve, he worked as a corporate pilot for Johnson & Johnson and also worked for the former Penn Commuter Airlines and the former Wing Airways. In 1985, he joined United. He was married to Ellen Saracini and had 2 daughters, Kristen, aged 13, and Brielle, aged 10, at the time of 9/11. At the time of 9/11, he lived in Yardley, Pennsylvania with his family. He would spend his weekends with his family at the Atlantic Beach. His in-laws, Bernard and Benedetta Bridebrand, said that he was a deeply caring father who taught his daughters how to use computers before they could count. He also did practice flight plans with them and taught them how to read a compass. His hobbies included playing the guitar, boating, motorcycling, driving his Corvette, cooking and travelling. His favourite movie was Forrest Gump, and he was known as the Forrest Gump Captain because he knew every line of the movie. His last words to Ellen were, "I love you." She would console her children by stating, "You can rest assured that God was with Daddy right away, and no matter what happened, it happened quickly." On the 11th of September 2022, Ellen Saracini would tell the Independent newspaper that she had seen the crash of United 175 into the South Tower of the World Trade Center and thought, "We are a nation at war." She had previously been at her daughter's school overseeing a meeting of volunteers but cancelled it when she heard that American Airlines Flight 11 had crashed into the North Tower of the World Trade Center. 1 week after 9/11, his family attended a memorial mass for him, where his wife Ellen Saracini was handed a folded Stars and Stripes, and Saracini received a U.S. Navy Honor Guard. A mass in his memory was held in Atlantic City on the 22nd of September 2001 at St. Michael's Roman Catholic Church. Ellen Saracini would become a leading advocate for second aviation cockpit barriers. In October 2018, the Saracini Aviation Safety Act was signed into law and spearheaded by Ellen. The Act mandates the installation of second barriers on all newly manufactured commercial aircraft, preventing a repeat of 9/11. Michael Robert Horrocks, who went by Rox, was first officer aboard the Boeing 767-200. According to his high school friend Randy McKillop, the name Rox came because he was as hard as a rock. He was born on the 24th of March 1963 in Chester, in Delaware County, Pennsylvania. He attended Hershey High School and went on to attend West Chester University, where he was quarterback for the college team. He then joined the United States Marine Corps, where he served as a pilot and then a flight instructor, and it was while there that he truly gained the nickname Rocks. After leaving the United States Marine Corps, he joined United. He was married to his wife Miriam, a gym teacher, and had 2 children, Michael, aged 7, who went by Mick, and Krista, aged 10, at the time of 9/11. Before the plane took off, he called his wife and said that the captain was some guy with a funny Italian name. His friend Doug Jones would tell CBS 21, the local CBS affiliate in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, he was one of those guys who had kind of got along with everybody. I don't think he had any enemies. He was just an awesome guy. And now we move on to the flight attendants. Robert John Fangman, who went by Bobby, was born on the 11th of March 1968 in Claymont, Newcastle County, Delaware. He was the son of Paul August Fangman and Ruth Fangman, née Martin. His father had passed away on the 20th of November 1994. He had 3 brothers, Paul Martin, who went by Marty, who lived in Keller, Texas, Michael, who lived in Greensboro, North Carolina, and Stephen, who lived in Newark, Delaware. He had 3 sisters, Debbie, who lived in Wilmington, Delaware, Terry, who lived in Charlottesville, Virginia, and Carol, who lived in Boothtown, Pennsylvania. Previously a salesperson for Verizon Wireless, Fangman was working in a sales role and only enjoyed the travelling that came from the job. As a result, he took a 50% pay cut and became a flight attendant with United Airlines in November 2000 and was based in Boston. Family and friends noted that he found his calling and loved the people and the lifestyle, with a love for planes, even carrying flashcards so that he could study information about the aeroplane. He also loved the uniform and would quip, "I always like a man in uniform," when seeing himself in his United Airlines uniform in the mirror. He loved foreign cities, dancing and wine. He refused to pour unfinished wine down the sink in first class and would ask other flight attendants to do it for him. He was single at the time of 9/11. Fangman would inform the world that United Flight 175 was hijacked, telling an airline operator in San Francisco, California, that the aircraft had been hijacked. In a call to Mark Policastro in San Francisco, California, from a GTE airphone in the rear of the aircraft, in a 1-minute 15-second call, he reported the hijacking, told Policastro that the aircraft was most likely being flown by the hijackers, that both pilots were dead, and that a flight attendant, who is unknown to this day, had been stabbed. His mother would visit Ground Zero on the 3rd of November 2016. His mother would pass away in Bear, Delaware on the 23rd of April 2021 and was buried with her husband. His brother, Marty Fangman, passed away 2 days prior to his mother in Fort Worth, Texas. Amy Nicole Jarrett was born on the 3rd of October 1972 in Providence, Rhode Island. She was the daughter of Aram P. Jarrett Jr. and Marilyn R. Trudeau, née Dorr. She had 3 brothers, Aram P. Jarrett III, who went by J, Matthew R., and Mark D. Jarrett. She attended Mount St. Charles Academy, where she was a member of the National Honor Society and the Drama Club. In 1988, she was a second runner-up in the Miss Teen Rhode Island pageant, and the first runner-up in the Rhode Island Young Woman of the Year pageant in 1990. While in high school, she was awarded a Kiwanis Club scholarship, served as class secretary, and was an active member of the student council. She graduated from Villanova University with a marketing degree in 1994. After graduating from college, she joined American Eagle, but I am unsure as to what contractor she flew with as part of American Eagle. She only became a flight attendant because the job market was bad in 1994, and she encountered a recruiter for a major American airline on campus. She previously lived in Woonsocket, Rhode Island, before moving to North Smithfield, Rhode Island in 1996, the same year that she joined United. She was a mathematics tutor and volunteer for the Northern Rhode Island chapter of the Rhode Island Association for Retarded Citizens, now called the Arc of Northern Rhode Island, the Mount St. Francis Nursing Home, and served on the Beautification Committee at Holocaust Commemorative Committee for the city of Woonsocket. She was a strong fan of the football team of the University of Notre Dame. In many ways, her father put it best, stating that being a flight attendant was only one part of her life. Since 1996, she had been formally dating Kyle Rusconi, her college boyfriend, and her father said that an engagement ring was only months away. She also wanted to have at least 4 children. Speaking to Rhode Island PBS Weekly in 2021, her father would recollect that on the evening of 9/11, 2 representatives of United Airlines came to confirm that she was aboard the doomed flight, with the family being in complete shock. He also stated, "I've got to believe that right to the end, Amy was there comforting her passengers. I just can't think if she knew that the plane was going to crash or land somewhere." Her father would spend 1 week in Guantanamo Bay at the hearing of those convicted of 9/11. He also speculates that the government of Saudi Arabia was behind 9/11 and took out a class action lawsuit with other families of victims of 9/11 against the Saudi government in 2015. Jarrett wasn't scheduled to be on board United Airlines Flight 175 and was filling in for another flight attendant who was unable to make it to work. In North Smithfield there was a park with a memorial to Jarrett. Her brother Matthew and his family would visit Ground Zero on the 20th anniversary of 9/11 on the 11th of September 2021. Amy Ruth King was born on the 20th of October 1971 in Jamestown in Chautauqua County, New York. She was the daughter of Stuart King, who went by Stubb, and Sue Peterson King. She had 2 sisters and was the youngest daughter. She was flying with her boyfriend Michael Arden Christopher Tagle, who went by Mac, who was a flight attendant with United Airlines, who we will come back to in a minute. Both had been dating for 2 years. King loved flying, arts, and had a deep loyalty to family and friends. She lived with her sister Debbie Lloyd during the 1990s when she was based out of Chicago, having joined United Airlines as a flight attendant in 1993. At the time of 9/11, both King and Tagle lived together in Stafford Springs, Connecticut, and both frequently got on the same flight. Tagle's father, Dr. James Tagle, expected the two to get married and described her as a remarkable person. Katherine Lin Lin Bori, née Yancey, who went by Kat, was born on the 14th of March 1957 in Albuquerque in Bernalillo County, New Mexico. She was the purser of the flight. She was the daughter of Gene Yancey and Flo Yancey, both of whom lived in Colorado Springs as of 9/11. She had 2 brothers, Mark and Kevin. Bori attended Mitchell High School in Colorado Springs, graduating in 1975. She then attended the University of Colorado at Colorado Springs before winning a scholarship to the University of Denver. In 1986, she started volunteering for the campaign of Adams County Commissioner Ted Strickland before becoming a paid staffer. While there, she met Bill Schultz, the then director of a retail council. The couple would marry and later divorced. In 1994, she started working as a flight attendant for United. Her father would state she loved to fly. In 1999, she married for a second time to Eric Bori, 10 years her junior. At the time of 9/11, she lived in Rochester, New York. Her parents were watching TV when United Airlines Flight 175 crashed into the South Tower. Her father, Gene, would state, "I tried to call on her cell phone. It was just silence. United called us fairly soon that day, 9:55 a.m. our time, but we knew." In a 2021 interview with CBS 11, her father stated, "It's just as raw in our hearts as it was almost that day." Her mother stated, "I think about her in the morning when I wake up and at night when I go to bed." Eric Bori would pass away on the 8th of May 2022 in Athens in Clark County, Georgia. Alfred Giles Padre Joseph Marchant was born on the 13th of November 1956 in Fargo, Case County, North Dakota. He was the son of Ed Marchant and Irene Marchant. The then 45-year-old was on a second career. He served 21 years as a police officer for the New Mexico Department of Public Safety, retiring as a lieutenant. He was married to Rebecca Marchant and had 3 children. In late 2000, he was surfing the internet and clicked a pop-up ad which stated, "Become a flight attendant," and was drawn to joining United with the promise of travel, adventure, and an attractive benefits package. He only started flying in January 2001. Based out of Boston, he flew as frequently as he could to see his wife and children, with the family supporting his career change. His wife Rebecca, who he had married in 1997, would state he loved his job so much. He loved meeting different people, he loved his colleagues and travelling. He just loved being on the go. Both had been together in Boston just before 9/11. Rebecca was considering changing to be on his flight, but was worried that she might not be able to rearrange her flights to get back to New Mexico, and as a result was not aboard United Airlines Flight 175. His remains were not identified until 2018 using DNA testing, with his son keeping his ashes, finally returning back to New Mexico in October 2022. In 2021, his son Joshua would state to KOB4, even after all this time, the thing is, I still can hear his voice. I can still picture his smile. My dad was kind of a wild man. He was a clown as well. Joshua would also tell the Albuquerque Journal that he thinks about his dad every day. Rebecca would tell the Dixon Press, I am really proud that he was my husband. I still miss him so much. I wonder what our lives would have been like 20 years later. Michael Arden Christopher Tagle, who went by Mac, was born on the 26th of December 1962 in Wantagh, Nassau County in New York. He was the son of Dr. James and Patricia Tagle and had one brother, Charles Tagle, and two sisters, Gigi Hintz and Demetra Lumia. He was of Greek Cypriot descent, and his father was a prominent member of the American Cypriot community. He would grow up in Wantagh on Long Island. He was a Boy Scout and Little Leaguer. While in high school, he formed the band Blue Wind. Attending college in Long Island, he relocated to Florida in 1986 when his parents purchased a home in Clearwater, Florida. There he trained to become an air conditioning repairman at Pinellas Technical Education Center. There he met a waitress, Jill Sagers, and the two married in 1989. He had a daughter, Gina, who was born in 1991. In May 2002, his father, James, would tell the Tampa Bay Times, Michael loved hanging out with his 11-year-old daughter. The same article would state that Gina was the pride of his life. In 1991, he saw that United Airlines was looking for flight attendants and decided to join. His ex-wife Jill would state he was good at it. He had that type of personality. As a result, the family relocated to Stafford Springs, Connecticut, where he still lived as of 9/11, but the two divorced in 1998. Taro would help his family to relocate back to Tampa, Florida, in order to be closer to Sager's family, with his ex-wife and Gina moving back in 2000. He had been dating fellow United flight attendant Amy Ruth King, with whom he had been flying aboard United 175. His true passion was music. He played on the guitar, bass, keyboards, and was a vocalist. During layovers in San Francisco, he would spend time in a recording studio. He also loved golf. His father, Dr. James Tagle, was trying to encourage him to marry King. During the hijacking, he would call his brother James and his father, stating that the plane had been hijacked. Prior to 9/11, he had a bad gut feeling about United Flight 175, with his uncle Achilles telling the Cyprus Mail in 2011 that he had told his dad he didn't want to board that plane. He had some kind of weird premonition, but I guess he just wanted to get on with his job. Alicia Nicole Titus was born on the 11th of June 1973 in Springfield, Clark County, Ohio. Titus was the daughter of John Titus and Bev Titus. She had one sister, Shanoa, and two brothers, Zachary and Elijah. She was the eldest of the four children. She had grown up in St. Paris, Ohio. She was described as a very kind individual, including as a 4-year-old giving her life savings amounting to $1 to a homeless person. She graduated with an undergraduate degree in international marketing from Miami University and was previously an account manager at Netcentives. In January 2001, she became a flight attendant with United with the aim of seeing the world. Her aunt Jody Lewis was a flight attendant with US Airways. She had travelled to Paris, Hawaii, Morocco and Spain by 9/11. At the time of 9/11, she lived in San Francisco, California and was dating Greg Ernst, who she had been dating since January 2001. Her aunt described Titus as a thrill seeker and adventurer. One thing she never was afraid. More than 500 people attended a memorial service to her at Messiah Evangelical Lutheran Church in Urbana, Ohio. Her remains were found and she is buried in Rushelsvania Cemetery in Rushelsvania, Logan County, Ohio. And now we move on to the passengers. Seated in seat 22G in economy class was Alana Abraham. Abraham was born on the 21st of June 1971 in Ashdod in the southern district of Israel, with her family originally from Bombay, now Mumbai in India. She had 2 siblings and was the daughter of Miriam Abraham. She travelled to the United States of America to visit family, arriving in Boston on the 1st of September. With visiting the United States of America being one of her dreams, hoping that this would be her first of many trips. She had stayed with college friend Dragor Weissman in Cambridge, Massachusetts. She worked as an industrial engineer for Applied Materials. Her remains were found in 2009. She was one of 4 Israeli citizens to be killed on 9/11. Garett Bailey, who went by Ace, was seated in seat 6F in business class. Bailey was born on the 13th of June 1948 in Lloydminster in Saskatchewan, Canada. He was the son of Claude Clarence Bailey and Lionella Getruse Bailey, niece Scharf. A former hockey player between 1966 and 1981, he played for the Western Hockey League, the Junior Ice Hockey League in Western Canada, the former Central Hockey League, a minor professional ice hockey league in the United States of America, the American Hockey League, the National Hockey League, and the former World Hockey Association. He played left wing. Amongst his illustrious career, he played for the Edmonton Oil Kings, Oklahoma City Blazers, Hershey Bears, Boston Bruins, Detroit Red Wings, St. Louis Blues, Washington Capitals, Edmonton Oilers, Houston Apollos, and ended his career with the Wichita Wind. The zenith of his career was in the 1970s when he played for the Boston Bruins and won 2 Stanley Cups. By 9/11, he was the director of pro scouting for the Los Angeles Kings, a professional NHL team, having served in the role since 1994. He was travelling back to Los Angeles, where the Los Angeles Kings were based, along with amateur scout Mark Bavis, who we will come back to in a minute. They had been in Manchester, New Hampshire, visiting the AHL affiliate to the Los Angeles Kings, the Monarchs, but both resided in Boston. To this day, there are no flights between Manchester Boston Regional Airport and Los Angeles, or indeed California, with the easiest way being travelling to Boston Logan International Airport, 54 miles, and then getting a flight from Boston to Los Angeles. He was fondly remembered by his colleagues, with his former roommate and de facto bodyguard Wayne Gretzky telling the Edmonton Journal on the 12th of September 2001, Ace may not have been the greatest hockey player to play in the NHL, but he taught many how to win championships, and more importantly, he was a winner in person. In his memory, the Los Angeles Kings named their new mascot Bailey, who debuted in the 2007-2008 hockey season. Both Bailey and Bavis are mentioned in the Dropkick Murphys song Your Spirit's Alive. Comedian and actor Dennis Leary wore a Bailey Memorial t-shirt as the character Tommy Gavin in 2 episodes of the TV show Rescue Me. The episodes were Immortal and Pussified. Rescue Me was a TV show focusing on New York firefighters, broadcast on the FX from the 21st of July 2004 until the 7th of September 2011. Bailey's family founded the Ace Bailey Children's Foundation in his memory, with the funds helping children and infants who are hospitalized and helping their families. On the 11th of June 2012, the Los Angeles Kings defeated the New Jersey Devils in the Stanley Cup Finals 4-2, winning the team's first Stanley Cup. On the 14th of October 2012, the team brought the Stanley Cup to the National September 11 Memorial in New York and placed it on the panels featuring the names of Bailey and Bavis so that they could have their personal days with the cup. A bobblehead figurine of the mascot Bailey is at the 9/11 Memorial and Museum. In 2021, the New York Times noted that Gretzky and the hockey world would never forget Bailey. Seated in seat 19F in economy class was Mark Bavis. Mark Lawrence Bavis, who went by Bavo, was born in Roslindale, Massachusetts on the 13th of March 1970. He was the son of Corporal Richard T. Bavis Sr., who passed away in 1990, and Mary Teresa Bavis nee Kelly. He had one brother, Richard T. Bavis Jr., who passed away when Bavis was 15. While in Boston University, he played left wing in the NCAA with Boston University from 1989 until 1993 before joining the Providence Bruins as part of the AHL. He then played with the Fredericton Canadiens from 1993 until 1994. As part of the AHL, before joining the South Carolina Stingrays as part of the ECHL from 1994 to 1996, and then playing for the Providence Bruins as part of the AHL from 1995 until 1996, he would become amateur scout for the Los Angeles Kings. He was travelling back to Los Angeles, where the Los Angeles Kings were based, along with professional scout Garett Bailey. They had been in Manchester, New Hampshire, visiting the AHL affiliate of the Los Angeles Kings, the Monarchs, but both resided in Boston. To this day, there are no flights from Manchester-Boston Regional Airport to Los Angeles, or indeed California, with the easiest way being travelling to Boston Logan International Airport, 54 miles away from Manchester, and then getting a flight from Boston to Los Angeles. Both Bailey and Bavis are mentioned in the Dropkick Murphys song Your Spirit's Alive. On the 11th of June 2012, the Los Angeles Kings defeated the New Jersey Devils in the Stanley Cup Finals 4-2, winning the team's first Stanley Cup. On the 14th of October 2012, the team brought the Stanley Cup to the National September 11 Memorial in New York and placed it on the panels featuring the names of Bailey and Bavis so that they could have their personal days with the cup. The Mark Bavis Leadership Foundation was founded in his honour and provides grants of between $1,000 and $5,000, with $50,000 awarded each year for school tuition, summer programs and extracurricular activities for young people, with more than $400,000 thus far raised by the foundation. On the 23rd of August 2011, the Bavis family settled with United Airlines and a security company that they said were negligent in his death. They were the last family to settle over a death caused by 9/11. However, the Bavis family stated 2 days before the settlement, on the 21st of August 2011, that not enough had been done to prevent a similar tragedy. His mother, Mary Teresa Bavis, passed away in Roslindale, Suffolk County in Massachusetts, on the 27th of March 2021. Graham Andrew Berkeley was seated in seat 6B and seated directly opposite hijacker Marwan al-Sheikh, seated in seat 6C in business class. Berkeley was born on the 12th of January 1964 in Nottinghamshire in the United Kingdom. He attended the Royal College of Music in London. Living in Boston, he worked as a director of e-commerce solutions for the CompuWare Corporation. He moved to the United States of America in the early 1990s and for 10 years had been trying to obtain a green card. This was finally granted in June 2001, and he prepared to move from Boston to New York. He was the son of Charles and Pauline Berkeley, and he had two brothers, Chris and Roger. He was a talented musician, as well as a classical violinist and an opera buff. His parents would tell The Guardian that they had tried to contact their son through phone and email, but had no luck reaching him. At 10:30 p.m. UK time, United Airlines rang them, informing them that Berkeley was on board the ill-fated Boeing 767-200, with his father noting, "At first we thought it was a hoax, but then United rang back. We had seen the fireball ourselves and we knew to expect the worst. We watched our child die, unaware. He was a brilliant boy, a brilliant man." He was one of 67 Brits killed on 9/11. Indeed, the United Kingdom had the most citizens of any foreign country killed on 9/11. Tori Balochi ni Hamzavi was seated in seat 15C in economy class. Balochi was born on the 10th of June 1932 in Tehran, Iran. Balochi was a practicing Muslim, the only practicing Muslim beside the hijackers on board the flight, but was described as not being hardcore. Educated in the United Kingdom, she was a nurse at the Women's Hospital in Tehran. While there, she met her future husband, Akbar Balochi. She would go on to have two daughters, Neda Balochi and Gloria Turan. In 1979, the Iranian Revolution took place, leading her to emigrate to Beverly Hills in California with the desire to see her kids educated, knowing that this would not be feasible in Iran following the Iranian Revolution. Her husband followed her in 1981. Continuing to work as a nurse, by 9/11 she was retired. At the time of 9/11 she lived in Brentwood, California. She was fluent in 6 languages: Farsi, Arabic, Turkish, English, French and Italian. She also loved reading and cooking. Balochi had been in Boston visiting her daughter, Gloria Turan, who lived in Boston, and her 2 grandchildren, 15-year-old Bobby Turan and 10-year-old Suejuan Turan. She hadn't been in Boston for 2 years as she had a fear of flying, with cousins having died in plane crashes in Europe and Africa. Prior to leaving her daughter, she said, "I'll see you when you come to LA," noting, "I'll see you at Christmas time," and Turan would remember she had that beautiful expression on her face with her beautiful smile. Her daughter, Neda Balochi, built a memorial to her in Brentwood, California. Klaus Bofer was seated in seat 21A in economy class. Klaus Bofer was born in Karlsruhe in Stadtkreis, Karlsruhe in Baden-Württemberg in Germany on the 13th of March 1970. He worked as a director of development for BCT Technology A Joy. In May 1997 he married his wife Katja, having met her in September 1992. They loved camping, having been on numerous camping trips in Portugal, festivals and concerts. On the 11th of September 1998, his daughter Laura was born. In August 2001, the family took their first and only family vacation to Portugal, where they went camping. He was in the United States of America for work, causing him to miss his daughter's 3rd birthday, and he would pass away on her 3rd birthday. Bofer was one of 11 German citizens to die on 9/11. Daniel Raymond Brandhorst, who went by Dan, was seated in seat 8A in business class. Brandhorst was born on the 22nd of June 1960 in Chicago, Illinois. He was the son of Ronald Eugene Brandhorst and Alberta Beatrice Brandhorst nee Reichow. His partner was Roland Lerma Gamboa, who went by Ron, who was on board the Boeing 767-200, and we will come back to him in a minute. They were travelling with their son, David Reed Gamboa Brandhorst, and we will also come back to him in a minute. Brandhorst had met Gamboa at a party in 1987, and a few years later, they moved to Los Angeles. In 1997, they adopted their son, David. Brandhorst was a lawyer and a partner at PricewaterhouseCoopers, PwC. Annually, the trio visited Provincetown, Massachusetts, and were returning to their home in the Hollywood Hills. Brandhorst's mother passed away on the 3rd of November 2004 in Syracuse, New York. David Reed Gamboa Brandhorst was seated next to his dad in seat 8B in business class. He was born on the 23rd of June 1998 in Los Angeles, California. Adopted on the first day of his life, his fathers were Daniel Raymond Brandhorst, who went by Dan, and Ronald Lerma Gamboa, who went by Ron. He called Gamboa Daddy and Brandhorst Papa. He loved playing Legos and spending time with his cousins. They lived in Hollywood Hills in Los Angeles, California, and had been in Provincetown, Massachusetts, which was an annual trip for the trio. In West Hollywood Park, the David Reed Gamboa Brandhorst Memorial was placed in the park where he spent much of his childhood. Seated in seat 6E in business class was John Brent Cahill, who went by Mad Dog. He was born in Brookline in Norfolk County in Massachusetts and was the son of Thomas Cahill and Hannah Cahill nee Sullivan. He had 2 sisters, Alice and Elaine, who was known by Nina. He attended St. Mary's Grammar School and graduated from Catholic Memorial High School in 1962 in West Roxbury. He got a bachelor's degree in accounting from Boston College in 1966 before gaining a master's degree in business administration from Suffolk University. In 1967, he joined the sales training department at Xerox. Posted on international assignments, he resided in Rio de Janeiro in Brazil and Henley-on-Thames in the United Kingdom, becoming fluent in Spanish and Portuguese. He would return to live in Massachusetts in 1999. He was a member of the Boston College Alumni Association, the Drug and Alcohol Prevention Committee in Wellesley, the Wellesley High School Gridiron Club, and the St. Paul's Catholic Church in Wellesley. At the time of 9/11, he lived in Wellesley, Massachusetts, and worked as a vice president of a systems group for the Xerox Corporation. He was married to Sharon Cahill nee O'Carroll, having married her in 1982, and had 2 sons, Brett Cahill and Sean Cahill. Seated in seat 20A in economy class was Christopher Michael Carstingen, who went by Chris. Carstingen was born on the 18th of November 1967 in Stamford in Fairfield County, Connecticut. He attended Housatonic Valley Regional High School, Paul Smith's College, and the University Without Walls as part of the University of Massachusetts Amherst. He worked as a computer research specialist and staff assistant at the Office of Information Technology for the University of Massachusetts Amherst and had been in the role since November 2000. He was an avid dancer and loved motorcycling, owning a red Honda Pacific Coast 800. He was on board United 175 on his way for a vacation to California for the annual Great Pacific Coast Motorcycle Ride. A memorial to him is left on the west side of a Graduate Research Center low-rise at the University of Massachusetts Amherst. John James Corran III, who went by Jay, was seated in seat 21 Joy in economy class. He was born on the 2nd of October 1957 in Worcester, Massachusetts. A merchant marine at the time of 9/11, he was also a self-employed engineer. He had 2 children, Megan and Jake. He had been married to Diane Corcoran for 20 years. He loved golfing, field trips with his children, and doing yard work. He was on his way to Los Angeles to join his ship in San Francisco as a merchant marine for a 42-day trip. This was shorter than the normal 84-day trip as he aimed to get back home to help his daughter enroll in college. Diane would set up the J. Corcoran Memorial Scholarship Foundation for 2 Norwell High School graduates, with each graduate receiving $10,000 per scholarship. Dorothy Almadea Rujo, nee Arnhorst, was seated in seat 17C in economy class. She was born on the 7th of November 1920 in Chicago, Illinois. She was the daughter of Joseph Victor Arnhorst and Martha Louise Arnhorst, nee Mischer. She had 2 brothers, Stanley Victor Arnhorst and Harold Adolph Arnhorst, both of whom had passed away by the time of 9/11. At the time of 9/11, the 80-year-old De Arujo lived in Long Beach, California. She spent 20 years on the administrative staff at California State University in Long Beach as an executive administrative assistant. Retiring at the age of 69, she earned a Bachelor of Arts in Fine Arts and went on to sell her work. She was known in her neighborhood as Our Artist, having captured pictures of the canals, boats, homes, and shops. She also loved traveling and had been to France, Australia, Italy, and Brazil. She was heading home from a visit with her son in Bedford, Massachusetts. Seated in seat 9A in business class was Ana Gloria de Barrera, nee Pocasangre. She was born on the 13th of July 1952 in San Salvador, Municipio de San Salvador in El Salvador. She was known by her family as Gloria. She worked as a courier to transport food products and textiles between the United States of America and San Salvador. On this occasion, she had been paid to escort an older woman from El Salvador to family living in Massachusetts and was going back home to El Salvador. She had 2 brothers, Pedro and Wilfredo, who lived in California. De Barrera was one of 2 citizens of El Salvador killed on 9/11. Today, there are direct flights between Boston and San Salvador, which are operated by Avianca El Salvador. However, if one wanted to fly United, you would need to transfer. Seated in seat 22A in economy class was Lisa Ann Frost. Frost was born on the 21st of December 1978 in Los Angeles and lived in Rancho Santa Margarita, California. She was the daughter of Tom and Melania Frost and had 1 brother, Daniel Frost. She graduated from Boston University and was on her way home having graduated from university. She loved the university and represented Boston University during campaigns in California, encouraging fellow Californians to travel cross-country and attend the university. She was self-employed in sales and marketing. A tree was planted in her memory in Rancho Santa Margarita as a memorial to her, the Lisa Frost Memorial. Her father would tell ABC News 7 in California in 2021, "I still miss her more today than I did yesterday, and I'll miss her more tomorrow than I did today, but it's something that I just live with." Her credit card was found in the debris and was kept by her father. A scholarship in her honor was created at Boston University. In business class in seat 8C was Ronald Lerma Gamboa, who went by Ron. Gamboa was born on the 30th of April 1968 in Quezon in the Eastern Manila district in the National Capital Region of the Philippines. He was the son of Dr. Ranulfo Tuason Gamboa. He had one sister, Gienia Merwin. His partner was Daniel Raymond Brandt, who was on board the Boeing 767-200. They were travelling with their son, David Reed Gamboa Brandt, also aboard the aircraft. Brandt had met Gamboa at a party in 1987, and a few years later the pair moved to Los Angeles, California. In 1997 they adopted their son David one day after he was born. He managed 3 Gap stores in Santa Monica, California. His father, Dr. Ranulfo Tayoson Gamboa, died on the 8th of March 2004 in St. Matthews in Jefferson County, Kentucky. Lin, Katherine Goodchild, was seated in seat 23C in economy class. She was travelling with her boyfriend Sean Nassany, who we will come back to. She was born on the 27th of May 1976 in Attleboro, Bristol County in Massachusetts, and was the daughter of William C. Goodchild III and Ellen R. Goodchild nee Reynolds. She had one brother, Neil K. Goodchild. In 1994 she graduated from Attleboro High School. She then received her bachelor's degree from Bryant College in Smithfield, Rhode Island, and was working towards her master's degree at Providence College. She was the president of the Karate Club of Providence College during her junior year and vice president during her senior year. She worked as a 401k plan administrator for Putnam Investments, having joined Putnam Investments in 1998. Goodchild and Nassany were on their way to Hawaii. While today there are direct flights from Boston to Honolulu, with Hawaiian Airlines and Delta Airlines are starting seasonal direct flights between Boston and Honolulu on the 21st of November 2024. At the time of 9/11, there were no direct flights between Boston and Honolulu, necessitating a change in Texas or on the West Coast. The short film The Bridge, a 9/11 story, an 8-minute movie, was produced by GBH, the PBS affiliate in Boston, and told the story of the couple and was released in 2021. Peter Morgan Goodrich was seated in economy class in seat 23B. Goodrich was born on the 1st of October 1967 in Cambridge in Middlesex County in Massachusetts. He was the son of Sarah Wales Goodrich, nee Donovan, who went by Sally, and Donald Goodrich. He had one brother, D. Foster Hevington, and a sister, Kimberly. Graduating from Berkshire School in 1985, he attended Bates College, where he threw hammer and discus, and became a 6-time All-American in track and field, and gained a double major in maths and physics, overcoming his dyslexia. He then worked for several years at Software Emancipation Technology and was Director of Product Development for MKS, its successor. He was married to Rachel Goodrich nee Carr, who he had met while at college, and the two had been married since the 11th of October 1992. Goodrich was a huge Red Sox fan. In 2006, his mother, a school administrator, visited a newly constructed girls' middle school in Logar, Afghanistan for the Oprah TV show. She would continue to do significant work for schools in Afghanistan for the rest of her life. His mother would pass away on the 18th of December 2010 in Bennington, Vermont. Her passing, both due to her son being a victim of 9/11 and the work that she had done in schools in Afghanistan, made national headlines, including being reported by the New York Times and the Los Angeles Times. A memorial tomb was erected at Bates College near the throwing circle on the 27th of April 2002. The Peter M. Goodrich Memorial Foundation was created in his honor. Seated in seat 22B in economy class was Douglas Allen Goell. Goell was born on the 30th of September 1948 in Fitchburg in Worcester County in Massachusetts. He was the son of Clarence W. Goell and Rachel Ellen Goell nee Adair, who had just passed away on the 17th of August 2001. He had one sister, Pam. He was married to Barbara J. Goell nee Smith and had 2 children, Michael and Jessica. Goell graduated from Lowell Institute of Technology. He worked as a director of a new market development for Avid Technologies, having joined in 1999. He loved music. Reverend Father Francis Edward Grogan was seated in seat 1C in first class. Reverend Grogan was born on the 13th of May 1925 in Pittsfield, Berkshire County, Massachusetts. Raised in Pittsfield during the Second World War, he served as a sonar expert on a Navy destroyer. He then earned degrees at the University of Notre Dame and Fordham University. Following his ordination into the Catholic Church, for 6 years he served as Director of Admissions and Registrar at Stonehill College in Easton. For the next 4 years, he worked with the Family Theatre and Family Rosary Crusades in Madrid, Spain, where he produced Christian movies. He also taught high school and served at churches in New York, Connecticut, Vermont, Texas, and Massachusetts. This included as a chaplain and religious teacher at Holy Cross High School in Waterbury, Connecticut. He was also assistant pastor of Sacred Heart Parish in Bennington, Vermont, assistant pastor of St. Joseph Parish in Austin, Texas, and assistant pastor of Holy Cross Church in Easton. Reverend Grogan was described as being open to all different viewpoints. He was on his way to visit his sister Anne Bronier in Ramona, California. He was the only priest killed on 9/11. His remains were not found. A small amount of ash and rubble were buried at the Cemetery of the Holy Cross Fathers at Stonehill in Massachusetts in his memory. In a memorial video to him released by the Holy Cross High School, it was speculated that God had put Reverend Grogan on United 175 deliberately to comfort others as it was being hijacked. Max Hammond Jr. was seated in seat 16C in economy class. Hammond was born on the 4th of October 1963 in Huntsville in Madison County, Alabama, growing up in Geneva, Alabama. He was the son of Carl Max Hammond Sr. and Dorothy Sue Hammond nee Mortler. His nickname was Little Max. He attended Georgia Tech and UCLA, graduating with a doctorate in physics. At the time of 9/11, Hammond lived in Derry in New Hampshire and worked as a self-employed researcher, having previously worked for the MITRE Corporation. A memorial to him was erected in 2020 in the city of Geneva, Alabama. His hobbies included building and racing cars. His parents would outlive him, with his father passing away on the 27th of November 2011 in Geneva, Alabama, while his mother would pass away on the 22nd of August 2016. Seated in seat 19C in economy class was Christiane Lee Hansen. Hansen was the youngest person to die on 9/11, aged 2.5. She was born in Boston on the 23rd of February 1999. She was the daughter of Peter Burton Hansen and Suejuan Hansen nee Kim. She was travelling with her parents aboard United Airlines Flight 175 to Los Angeles to visit her mother's family in California, with her mother having been born in Los Angeles, and to go to Disneyland in Anaheim, California. This was her first time on a plane. Hansen lived with her parents in Gorton, Massachusetts. She loved gardening and painting, as well as playing in her local playground, dancing, and Mickey Mouse. A stuffed Peter Rabbit, which belonged to her, is on display at the 9/11 Memorial and Museum. This was presented by her grandparents, Eunice Hansen and Lee Hansen, to the museum. There were 2 Winnie the Pooh stickers that Hansen attached to the torso of Peter Rabbit. She was buried with her family in Eastern Congregational Church Memorial Garden in Eastern Fairfield County, Connecticut. Peter Burton Hansen was seated in seat 19E in economy class. Hansen was born on the 24th of January 1969 in Bridgeport, Fairfield County, Connecticut. He was the son of Eunice Hansen and Lee Hansen. He had one sister, Katherine. He attended Joel Barlow High School before attending Northeastern University. He then got an MBA at Boston University. He worked as a computer executive. In 1994, he married his wife, Suejuan Hansen nee Kim. Hansen loved gardening and painting. In 1999, they would have their only child, Kristen Lee Hansen. They were on their way to Disneyland Anaheim and visited family of his partner who lived in California. At 8:52 a.m., Hansen called his father from seat 30E at the back of a Boeing 767-200. Speaking softly, Hansen said that the hijackers had commandeered the cockpit. A flight attendant had been stabbed and possibly someone on the flight deck had been killed, noting that the plane was flying erratically. He asked his dad to call United Airlines. However, Lee Hansen was unable to get through to United Airlines and instead called the police. In May 2019, Lee Hansen would tell the Daily Mirror that the police told him that a plane had crashed into the World Trade Center and told him to turn the TV on. At 9 a.m, Peter Hansen called his dad a second and final time, stating, "It's getting bad, Dad. A stewardess was stabbed. They seem to have knives and mace. They said they have a bomb. It's getting very bad on the plane. Passengers are throwing up and getting sick. The plane is making jerky movements. I don't think the pilot is flying the plane. I think we are going down. I think they intend to go to Chicago or someplace and fly into a building. Don't worry, Dad. If it happens, it'll be very fast. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God." The call ended abruptly with a woman screaming. Lee Hansen then switched his TV on, seeing that United Airlines Flight 175 had crashed into the South Tower of the World Trade Center. Exactly why Peter Hansen thought that they were heading to Chicago is unknown to this day and will probably never be known. However, he gave us an incredible insight into what was taking place on board the Boeing 767-200 just as she was about to crash into the South Tower. His ashes were found and he was buried along with his family in Eastern Congressional Church Memorial Garden in Fairfield County, Connecticut. His father would pass away in 2018 and was buried in the same grave. Suejuan Kim was seated in seat 19D in economy class. Hansen was born on the 28th of July 1966 in Los Angeles. She had two brothers, Stanley and John, both of whom lived in California. Graduating from the University of California at Berkeley, she earned a Master's of Arts degree at the University of Boston. She was a doctoral candidate and senior research technician at Boston University, living in Groton, Massachusetts. In 1994, she married Peter Burton Hansen, and in 1999, they had their only child, Christine Lee Hansen. The three were traveling to visit Disneyland Anaheim as well as her family in Los Angeles. She was buried along with her husband and daughter in Eastern Congressional Church Memorial Garden in Fairfield County, Connecticut. Seated in seat 24F was Gerald Francis Hardaker, who went by Jerry. Hardaker was born on the 21st of November 1939 in Cavite Province in Calabarzon in the Philippines. He was the son of Commander Francis William Hardaker, who went by Hank, and Veronica Hortense Hardaker, née Nardin. He had one brother, Lawrence Ellis Hardaker. In 1957, he graduated from Abraham Lincoln High School in San Diego, California. In 1960, he graduated from San Diego State's College of Sciences in Chemistry. He would go on to become an environmental affairs director with General Dynamics in San Diego and was a founding member of the San Diego Industrial Environmental Association. Ultimately, he made San Diego a cleaner and better place to live, according to his brother. By 9/11, he was retired and living in Carlsbad, California. His brother, Lawrence Ellis Hardaker, would pass away on the 3rd of September 2011. Eric Samatikan Hartono was seated in seat 24B in economy class. Hartono was born in Jakarta, Indonesia on the 23rd of December 1981. He was the son of Smadikun Hartono, and his father wanted all of his children, he had 5 of them, to study overseas. His father was the chairman of the Indonesian conglomerate Modern Group, as well as vice president of Fujifilm. This led Eric Hartono to study at Temple Christian High School in Portland, Oregon. While there, he lived with Lily Sudarma and Martin Sudarma, fellow Indonesians who moved to Portland in 1971. While in Portland, he regularly attended City Bible Church. After graduating from Temple Christian High School, he moved to Boston, attending Newbury College, and ended up dating Luevena Catherine Kusuma. He hoped to attend the University of Southern California, and in the weeks prior to 9/11 began to move to Los Angeles. He had been in Boston visiting Kusuma, as well as talking with officials at Newbury College about how he would transfer his credits to get into the University of Southern California, leading him to be on board United Airlines Flight 175 returning to Los Angeles. His father would tell the New York Times that he hoped that Hardaker would come back to Indonesia and run his business after he graduated. He was fondly remembered by friends, with friend Mario Hartono stating he was a great guy, really nice, and just a good guy. Hartono was the only Indonesian citizen killed on 9/11. "47-year-old James Edward Hayden was seated in seat 2C in first class. He was a graduate of Stonehill College in Eastern Massachusetts, graduating in 1976. Hayden was married to Elizabeth Gail Hayden, née Fox, having met his wife at college, and had 2 children, Elizabeth and John. At the time of 9/11, he was CFO of Netegrity, a Waltham computer company, and was on his way to Los Angeles to meet investors for a business trip. Herbert Wilson Homer, who went by Herb, was seated in seat 17E in economy class. He was the son of William Homer and Winifred Homer, née Burke. He had one brother, Stephen Homer. Homer was born on the 5th of February 1953 in Everett in Middlesex County, Massachusetts. At the time of 9/11, he lived in Milford, Massachusetts, and worked as a corporate executive of the Department of Defense, coordinating government work with the Ryerson Company. He was also a board member of the National Scoliosis Foundation. He was married to Karen Homer, née Pond. The Defense Contract Management Agency's headquarters building at Fort Lee, Virginia, was named after him, the Herbert Homer Hall. Robert Adrian Jalbert, who went by Bob, was seated in seat 16B in economy class. Jalbert was born on the 9th of September 1940 in Haverhill in Essex County, Massachusetts. He had one brother, Paul, who at the time of 9/11 lived in Lewiston, Maine. He was raised in Lewiston and was a graduate of Wentworth Institute. Formerly in the Marine Reserves, in 1981 he joined Rogers Foam in Somerville, where he worked as a salesperson. In the same year he moved to Samscott, Massachusetts, and was a daily attendee of St. John the Evangelist Church in Swampscott. He had been married to Katherine Jalbert, née Cassie, since 1965 and had 2 daughters, Suzanne McCormick of North Andover, Massachusetts, and Julie, who lived in Seattle, Washington. He also had a son, Michael, who lived in Swampscott. He had 3 grandchildren. He was a wine enthusiast and enjoyed woodworking. He also enjoyed travel and was fluent in French. A memorial tomb was created in Swampscott outside the Swampscott Town Hall, with 2 others included on the memorial. These were journalist Michael Kelly, who died in Iraq in 2003, and specialist in the US Army Justin Moore, who died during the Second Gulf War on the 2nd of June 2008 in Iraq. In 2022, his son Robert would tell 01907 magazine that the day of 9/11 remains vivid and that he was a good dad. Seated in seat 22C in economy class was Ralph Francis Kershaw. Kershaw was born on the 8th of April 1949 in Wolfeboro in Carroll County in New Hampshire. He was the son of Raymond Kershaw and Elaine Beatrice Kershaw, née Dubé, and had one brother, Alan Randolph Kershaw. He attended Manchester High School, graduating in 1967. It was while in high school that he met his wife Heidi, and the two would go on to have 3 children, daughter Christian, aged 27 at the time of 9/11, and twins Matthew and Jason, aged 25 at the time of 9/11. Attending Boston University, worked as the Northeast Regional Salesperson for Paulson Wire and Rope of New York before working with his father as a marine surveyor, and took over from his father's business when his father passed away in 1979. In October 1977, he became a member of the National Association of Marine Surveyors and was vice president for the New England region between 1986 and 1992. He loved travelling. His mother would outlive him and passed away on the 19th of June 2010 in Manchester by the Sea in Essex County in Massachusetts. His brother passed away in Beverly, Essex County, Massachusetts on the 4th of May 2015. Henrik Kmiec was seated in seat 21B in economy class. Kmiec was born on the 26th of July 1958 in Oberkreich, Ortenkreis in Baden-Württemberg in Germany. He was the chairperson of BCT Technology AG in Germany. He was one of 11 German citizens killed on 9/11. Brian Kevin Kniec was seated in seat 19A in economy class. Kniec was born on the 7th of June 1973 in Lowell in Middlesex County in Massachusetts. He was the son of Norman Kniec and Darlene Kniec née Cromier. He had one brother, Timothy Kniec. He attended Bishop Quirton High School before attending the University of Massachusetts, Lowell. Kniec worked as a manager of global risk management solutions at PricewaterhouseCoopers in Boston, having initially started as an intern. He was on his way to Los Angeles for a business trip. In 2018, a memorial plaque was unveiled in his honor at Bishop Quirton High School. Robert George LeBlanc, who went by Bob, was seated in seat 16G in economy class. LeBlanc was born on the 28th of October 1930 in Nashua in Hillsborough County in New Hampshire. He worked as a professor emeritus of cultural geography at the University of New Hampshire, which is ranked by the QS University World Rankings 2025 between 1001 and 1200 in the world. He had worked at the University of New Hampshire since 1964. His wife was Andrea and he had 5 children. He was on his way to a geography conference at the University of California, Santa Barbara. To this day, there are no direct flights from Boston to Santa Barbara, California, necessitating a connection. Upon his return from California, he was planning on traveling to Argentina, India, and Sweden. He loved traveling and always planned the next 4 to 5 trips to places he had never been. On the 10th anniversary of 9/11, his wife Andrea was interviewed by the Portsmouth Herald, and she insisted that she was not angry, stating, "I'd rather try to figure out some positive way of making sense of all of this than just be imprisoned by my own despair, fear, and anger." The couple strongly opposed the death penalty, with Andrea speaking in 2019 before the House Criminal Justice Committee in support of House Bill 455, which would repeal the death penalty in New Hampshire. On the 30th of May 2019, the House Bill 455 was enacted with the death penalty abolished for all crimes committed after the 30th of May 2019 in New Hampshire. McLovia Lopez Jr., who went by Joe, was seated in seat 19G in economy class. Lopez was born on the 29th of April 1960 in Pueblo County, Colorado. At the time of 9/11, he lived in Newark, California, and was working as a construction worker, specializing in pipelines, and was returning from a project he had worked on in Boston. There was a monument to him at the Roselawn Cemetery in Pueblo. At the time, he was married to Rhonda Lopez and had 2 children, Danette and Joseph. The family would move back to Pueblo in 2005. Following the death of Osama bin Laden on the 2nd of May 2011, Rhonda Lopez told the Pueblo chieftain, "People are celebrating, but there's no reason to celebrate. I didn't feel justice had been served. I hear today that he got a proper burial, and really, that's just a slap in the face." Heading back to first class, Marianne McFarlane was seated in seat 1E. McFarlane was born in Boston on the 20th of February 1967. She was the daughter of Anne McFarlane and George McFarlane, with her father having passed away by the time of 9/11. She was the middle of 3 children and had 2 brothers, George and Joseph. She studied travel and geography at Salem State College before joining U.S. Airways Express as a manager in Bangor, Maine, before joining United, working as a customer service representative at Boston Logan International Airport. Her mum also worked as a customer service representative for United at Boston Logan International Airport. They both lived together in Riverey, Massachusetts. The mother and daughter took advantage of a United Airlines discounts, including flying to Disney World in Orlando, Florida, just to get their hair cut at the Contemporary Resort Hotel in Disney World. Indeed, Disney World was one of her favourite places on the planet, and she loved it there. Her brother George had said that she had been there 100 times with the mother and daughter, travelling on the 6:30 a.m. United flight to Orlando and returning at about 8 p.m. on the same day. She also enjoyed whitewater rafting. She also owned a timeshare in Disney World. She was on board United Airlines Flight 175 for a short vacation with a co-worker, Jesus Sanchez, to Las Vegas, Nevada. We will come back to Sanchez in a minute. Her mother had driven to Boston Logan International Airport at 4:30 a.m. and when she got out of the car, she said goodbye to her mum, which her mother would describe as odd because her daughter never did that. Today, United does not serve Orlando directly from Boston Logan International Airport, and while Delta and JetBlue fly directly from Boston to Las Vegas, flying United from Boston to Las Vegas would necessitate connecting. Seated in seat 20G in our economy class was Louis Neil Mariani. Mariani was born in Cambridge, Massachusetts on the 23rd of December 1942. In 1988 he married Ellen May Mariani née Pridham. He was previously a dairy worker at Blue Ribbon Dairy Farm and a sales coordinator for H.P. Hood, but was retired by the time of 9/11. He lived in Bedford, Massachusetts at the time of 9/11 and was on his way to for his stepdaughter's wedding, leaving Boston 2 hours after his wife, who flew via Chicago, Illinois. His wife forewent the September 11 Victim Compensation Fund despite her husband leaving little money and having no life insurance. In December 2001, Ellen Mariani filed a lawsuit against United Airlines for failing to protect passengers and the hijackers, and then on the 12th of September 2001 filed a wrongful death lawsuit in the U.S. District Court in Philadelphia against President George W. Bush, Vice President Dick Cheney, Attorney General John Ashcroft, and Defense Secretary Donald Rumsfeld. Her lawyer Philip Berg stated that the aim of the lawsuit was to get to the truth of 9/11. Mariani also ended up running the website 911forthetruth.com, which is still online if you want to check it out. In a letter to President George W. Bush, she would state that she believed that he had intentionally allowed 9/11 to happen to gather public support for the war on terrorism, enabling him to invade Afghanistan and Iraq. Both cases against the federal government and United Airlines were thrown out of court, and her lawyer was financially disciplined by the Californian court for bringing the lawsuit in 2013. However, her perceived attempts at justice remained for the rest of her life, spearheading a petition on Change.org on the 21st of January 2013, calling for the Supreme Court to hear her case. It was unsuccessful, with only 236 supporters, while an earlier petition on the 11th of October 2012, which requested $11,000 in donations to take the case to the US Supreme Court, also failed, and there were only 36 supporters. She would pass away on the 31st of October 2015 in Parker Douglas County, Colorado. Juliana Valentina McCourt, who went by Miss J, was seated in seat 26A in economy class. She was born on the 4th of May 1997 in Newton, Middlesex County, Massachusetts. At the time of 9/11, she lived in New London, Connecticut. She was the daughter of David Jerome McCourt and Ruth Magdalene McCourt née Clifford. She had just travelled with her mother to Portugal. She was flying with her mum, Ruth McCourt, who we will come back to in a minute. Her godmother, Paige Marie Heckel née Farley, was also flying to California and was aboard the ill-fated American Airlines Flight 11. The mother and daughter were on a week-long trip to California and were going to a spiritual conference at the Deepak Chopra Center for Wellbeing in San Diego and aimed to visit Disneyland in Anaheim. This was a surprise trip. After her death, her father considered suicide. He would meet his future wife Mary Bryant in January 2002, marrying her at St. Francis Chapel in Niantic, Connecticut in 2011. He would pass away on the 11th of July 2013 in Brantford, New Haven County, Connecticut. Seated next to her daughter in seat 26B was Ruth McCourt. Ruth Magdalene McCourt née Clifford was born in Ballintemple in County Cork in the Republic of Ireland on the 4th of June 1956. She had lived in the United States of America since she was 16, moving over when her parents separated. She had 4 siblings. After college, she began working for Bavis, an institute learning about cosmetics that has outlets across the United States of America. She then became a skincare specialist, training at one of London's top schools. Returning to the United States of America in 1986, she lived in New London, Connecticut for many years, having opened the day spa Clifford Classiques. Irish Central reported that the spa was highly successful, bringing in clients from across the US and Europe. In 1994, she married her husband David Jerome McCourt. In 1997, she had her only child, Juliana McCourt, and she left Clifford Classiques to become a full-time mother. She had just come back from Portugal, which she visited with her daughter. She was flying with her daughter Juliana, who she was seated next to. Her daughter's godmother, Paige Marie Heckel née Farley, was also flying to California and was aboard American Airlines Flight 11. The mother and daughter were on a week-long trip to California and were going to a spiritual conference at Deepak Chopra Center for Wellbeing in San Diego and aimed to visit Disneyland in Anaheim. This was a surprise trip for young Juliana. In a remarkable twist of fate, her brother Ronald H. Clifford, who went by Ron, was in the World Trade Center to attend a meeting On behalf of his software company, Tradewind Net Access, he was in the foyer of South Tower while his niece and his sister would not survive 9/11. He survived the attack. After her death, her husband considered suicide. He would meet his future wife Mary Bryant in January 2002, marrying her at St. Francis Chapel in Niantic, Connecticut in 2011. He would pass away on the 11th of July 2013 in Brantford, New Haven County, Connecticut. Her brother Ronald H. Clifford would pass away on the 15th of December 2023. Seated in seat 28C in economy class was Deborah Medwick. While the Boeing 767-200 went back to row 33 with the plane at minimum capacity, Medwick was the passenger who was furthest back on the plane. While Medwick had married her husband, Michael Travollarella, and adopted his name, she was travelling under the name Medwick. She was born on the 21st of March 1955 in Pittsburgh in Allegheny County, Pennsylvania. She was the daughter of Edward Medwick and had one sister, Deirdre Denick Nee Medwick. Medwick worked for NSTART in Boston. She was on her way to Los Angeles with her husband, Michael Travollarella, but insisted on him travelling on board a separate flight so that if anything happened, someone could take care of their daughter, Cassandra. Indeed, Michael would make it to Los Angeles, while Deborah would not. Her father passed away on the 23rd of June 2014, while her sister passed away on the 4th of April 2015 in Mentor Lake County, Ohio. Wolfgang Peter Menzel was seated in seat 21C in economy class. Menzel was born in Hanau in Main-Kinzig Kreis in Hessen, in what was then Nazi Germany. He worked as Director of Human Resources for Boissy Toy Technology AG in Germany, having joined the company in 2000. At the time, he lived in Wilhelmshaven, Germany. He planned to retire 6 months after 9/11. He was married and had one child. Menzel was one of 11 Germans killed on 9/11. Sean Michael Nassany was seated in seat 23E in economy class. Nassany was born on the 7th of July 1976 in Pawtucket in Providence County, Rhode Island. Nassany attended St. Raphael Academy, where he developed an interest in running and becoming a star on the track team. He then went on to attend Bryant College in Smithfield, Rhode Island, graduating cum laude with a bachelor's degree in marketing in 1998. He started working as an inside sales representative in June 1998 with the American Power Conversion in West Kingston, Rhode Island. He was briefly relocated to the American Power Conversion's corporate headquarters in Sydney, Australia in December 1999, returning in December 2000 to the American Power Conversion's headquarters in Rhode Island as a sales team leader for the company's Enterprise Customer Solutions team. In May 2001, he started an MBA at Providence College. He was on his way to Hawaii with his girlfriend Lynn Goodchild, seated opposite him in seat 23F. At the time, no airline flew direct from Boston to Hawaii, necessitating a change on the West Coast or in Texas. Today, however, the route is served directly between Boston and Honolulu by Hawaiian Airlines, with Delta starting a seasonal flight on the 21st of November 2024. The Sean M. Nassany Memorial Fund was founded in his memory to create a scholarship for Bryant College and St. Raphael's Academy in Pawtucket, Rhode Island. The Sean M. Nassany Memorial Race and Walk took place in his honour for 20 years and was organised by Bryant University, with the last walk taking place on the 11th of September 2021. Marie Papaladro was seated in seat 20F in economy class. Papaladro was born on the 12th of October 1947 in Lawrence in Essex County, Massachusetts. At the time of 9/11, she lived in Paramount, California. Having lived there for 12 years, she worked as a controller and production manager at ALA. She had visited the Feast of the Three Saints in Boston and was in Boston for the birthday of her daughter, Maria Kutney. She was returning home to Paramount. She loved cats and caught wild ones and took care of them. Heading back to the front of the plane, seated in seat 1A, was Patrick James Quigley IV. Quigley was born on the 25th of February 1961 in Methuen in Essex County in Massachusetts. He had one sister, Ruth Quigley Lawrence, and a brother, John. He was the son of Patrick James Quigley Jr. and Mi-ja Quigley Ni Kim. Quigley would graduate from Rutgers New Brunswick School of Arts and Sciences in 1982. He was married to Patricia Quigley Nee Fleming and had one daughter, Rachel Quigley. The family bought a house in Wellesley shortly before 9/11. His daughter was on her second day of kindergarten on 9/11. He was a partner at Price Waterhouse Corporation. When American Airlines Flight 11 hit the North Tower of the World Trade Center, his wife got a call from her brother and sister-in-law asking if Quigley was okay, knowing that he had flown out from Boston, with his wife insisting that he was okay because he was on United 175. But then when she found out that United 175 had been hijacked, she called United and was put through to an emergency department and was told that they could not find United Airlines Flight 175 on the radar. The Patrick J. Quigley IV Memorial Scholarship was offered by PwC in his memory to fund 2 annual scholarships for seniors majoring in art history in Rutgers New Brunswick School of Arts and Sciences. Frederick Raimelle III was seated in seat 25B in economy class, the only passenger in row 25. Raimelle was born on the 3rd of October 1968 in Clifton, New Jersey. He had 2 sisters, Sally Tartare and Donna Hart. He attended Montclair Kimberly Academy, graduating Phi Beta Kappa from Amherst College in 1990. He would receive his MD from Duke University and Medical College in 1994, completing his residency training in family medicine at the Maine Dartmouth Family Practice Residency in 1997. In the same year, he married Kimberly Truddle, an executive in software engineering. Initially working at the Foxborough Area Health Center, he moved to Marblehead to join the faculty team of the family practice residents at Beverly Hospital in 1998. He would go on to become a professor of family medicine at Beverly and Hunt Hospitals in Danvers, Massachusetts. He was an Eagle Scout, amateur naturalist, faithful church-going Episcopalian, and a consummate scramble player. In seat 22F was Captain James Michael Rooks. Rooks was born on the 29th of June 1959 in New London County, Connecticut. He lived in Portland, Maine and was an attorney for Rooks International. He was travelling to Rooks International's Himalayan office in Kathmandu, Nepal. He had one child, Jamie Rooks, who was 15 when he passed away. Jamie Rooks was arrested on the 11th of September 2015 for interrupting a remembrance ceremony in Freeport, Maine. The protest manifested because of the use of the military at the memorial. He would tell the Portland, Maine Press-Herald, "On September 11, 2015, I went to the Freeport Fire Station for the end of a 9/11 remembrance ceremony, which I had seen advertised on Facebook. I expected to see a display of interesting Freeport flag ladies, memorability, and refreshments. I saw instead a program of military force. To me, the ceremony was a painful example of my father's murder being exploited to advance partisan, political, and disturbing policies, using Sep 11 as a justification for an unnecessary war, torture, drone strikes, and civilian casualties that followed compounds my grief and is wrong-minded and counterproductive." On the 8th of September 2021, just before the 20th anniversary of 9/11, his sisters would tell Portland Press-Herald that 9/11 was the day that changed their family forever. Heading back to first class, seated in seat 1F, was Jesus Sanchez, who went by Jr. Sanchez was born on the 21st of March 1956 in Ponce, Puerto Rico. He was the son of Jesus Sanchez Rosaldo and Matilde Serrano, who passed away earlier in 2001 on the 22nd of May 2001. However, his father was still alive at the time of 9/11. He had 5 brothers. Raised in Brooklyn, New York, he moved to Fitchburg, Massachusetts, graduating from Fitchburg High School. Previously, he lived in Oswego in New York, working in managerial positions before moving to Revere, Massachusetts. At the time of 9/11, he lived in Hudson, Massachusetts. He then joined Continental Airlines in 1988, working with them for 10 years before joining United Airlines as a ticket agent. He had a son, Mark Sanchez, and a daughter, Felicita Sanchez, and one granddaughter, Lenisa Powell. He was a member of the Capilla Santissima Trinidad Church in Lower Minster, Massachusetts. He loved baking and would bake and decorate cakes for weddings and other special occasions. He also loved traveling and spending time with his family, as well as photography. Sanchez was traveling with United Airlines colleague Marion McFarlane, who he was sitting next to. The duo were off to a holiday in Las Vegas, Nevada. While Delta and JetBlue now fly direct from Boston to Las Vegas, United does not fly direct from Boston to Las Vegas. His remains were found on the 10th of June 2008, and he was buried in Evergreen Cemetery in Leominster, Worcester County, Massachusetts. Staying in first class, Kathleen Shearer, née Walsh, was seated in seat 2E. Shearer was born in Buffalo, New York on the 11th of March 1940. She was the daughter of Alan Francis Walsh and Mary Catherine Walsh, née Horvath. She was married to Robert Michael Shearer, with whom she was travelling on board United Flight 175, and we will come back to him in a minute. Both had met on a blind date in 1962. Both moved to their dream home in Dover, Massachusetts in April 2001. Her parents had moved from California to Stamborough, Michigan to be closer to their daughter. She was a talented artist and recreated antique dolls. She enjoyed Celine Dion, hosting Sunday morning gatherings with friends and working in the yard. She had 2 daughters, Mary Nicholson and Carrie Castro. Shearer had just overcome colon cancer. Her parents would outlive her, with her father passing away on the 5th of December 2003 and her mother passing away on the 8th of April 2008. Seated in seat 2F in first class next to his wife was Robert Michael Shearer. Shearer was born on the 1st of March 1938 in Seattle, Washington. He was the son of Robert Louis Shearer and Margaret Shearer. He met his wife Kathleen Shearer, née Walsh, with whom he was travelling aboard United Airlines Flight 175 on a blind date, and they got married in 1962. Both had moved into their dream home in Dover, Massachusetts in April 2001. He enjoyed teaching computer classes and lawn work and was known as the Lawn King in his neighbourhood. At the time of 9/11 he was retired but was previously an engineer. Seated in seat 60 in business class and right next to hijacker Marwan al-Sheikh in seat 6C was Jane Louise Simpkin. Simpkin was born on the 28th of March 1965 in Crumpsall in Greater Manchester in the United Kingdom. She was the eldest daughter of Alan Simpkin and Anne Simpkin, née Games. She had 2 sisters. She was raised across 8 countries before moving to the United States of America. This included living in Colombia and Iran. With her family settling in Massachusetts, she attended Wayland High School from 1980 to 1983, studying at the University of Michigan before transferring to Emerson College in Boston. Despite desires to be a lawyer, she found a love for music management. She was a licensing manager for the American Society of Composers, Authors and Publishers, enforcing and collecting royalties. She was aboard United 175 to attend a business meeting in Los Angeles. A bench outside the arts building at her alma mater, Wayland High School, was created in her memory. She was one of 67 citizens of the United Kingdom who died on 9/11. Indeed, the United Kingdom had the largest number of casualties of any foreign nationality on 9/11. Brian David Sweeney was seated in seat 15A in economy class. Sweeney was born on the 10th of August 1963 in Worcester, Massachusetts. He lived in Barnstable, Massachusetts, and served in the U.S. Navy as a pilot and worked as a teacher in fighter weapons schools, including serving in the First Gulf War. By 9/11, he was a defense contractor. He was married to Julie Sweeney, née Roth, who was a high school teacher, with both having married in 1999 in Cape Cod. He was one of 2 passengers to call loved ones from United Airlines Flight 175. He telephoned his wife and left a voicemail. "I'm on an aeroplane that's been hijacked. If things don't go well, and it's not looking good, I just want you to know I absolutely love you. I want you to do so good. Go have good times. Same to your parents and everybody. And I just totally love you. And I'll see you when you get there. Bye, babe. I hope I call you." Recalling the voice message with the 9/11 Memorial Museum, she would state, "When I heard the voicemail, all I thought of was that it's so Brian. He knew he wasn't coming home, and it was his final way of letting me know exactly what he wanted me to do. He wanted me to know that no matter what happened, he loved me, and he wanted me to be happy, and to move forward and go ahead and have good times and do good things with my life." She would also state, "I'm so thankful for it. I'm so thankful for that message, because at least I know without a shadow of a doubt what he was thinking. The calmness in his voice soothed me, and it's very powerful. He made very powerful statements with that message." She would remarry and have 2 children. She currently works as a substitute teacher and volunteers at the 9/11 Memorial and Museum. Timothy Ray Ward, who went by Tim, was seated in seat 17A in economy class. Ward was born on the 14th of February 1963 in Modesto, Stanislaus County in California. As a result, he was called the Valentine's Day Child. He was the son of Doyle Raymond Ward, who went by Ray, and Gail Suzanne Ward Baker. At the time of 9/11, he lived in Scripps Ranch in California. He worked for Rubio's Baja Grill, a chain of Mexican restaurants in Carlsbad, California, and worked as a systems administrator, overseeing the chain's computer networks. He was a devoted fan of the San Diego State Aztecs and traveled all across the country to their football games. He had a West Highland Terrier named Sherman and loved dogs. He was returning from having been on the East Coast for a long weekend. There was a memorial to him at Visalia Public Cemetery in Visalia, Tulare County, California, with his ashes having been found and interned there. His father passed away on 17 January 2012 and was buried with him. His mother would pass away on the 20th of July 2014. Finally, William Michael Weems was seated in seat 27A in economy class and the only passenger in row 27. Weems, who went by Bill, was born on the 2nd of August 1955 in Los Angeles. He lived in Marblehead, Massachusetts. He attended Chatsworth High School, graduating in 1976. Weems worked as a freelance TV commercial producer. He was married to Lisa Ann Griffin and had a daughter, Zoe, born in 1994. His friend Cynthia Gardner would say that his wife and his daughter were the most important things in his life. And that is all of the passengers and crew of United Airlines Flight 175. A huge thank you to you all who made it to the end, and I will be back with the passengers and crew of United Airlines Flight 93, and I promise that this time it won't be such a long break between videos. Thank you for watching. Please do yourself a favour and hit that subscribe button and the bell icon to be notified of when new videos come out. Also, why not hit that like button and leave a nice comment? It helps more than you know, and your support is truly appreciated. Until next time, stay awesome, stay classy, be kind to everyone you meet, have an amazing day, and remember the truth is always more interesting than fiction.